Think a dime is only 10 cents? Wrong. Rare Roosevelt dimes with mint errors and silver varieties are selling for hundreds, even thousands. Always check before you spend them. The US 1 dime coin from 1966 is far more than just another piece of spare change. At first glance, it looks no different from the countless other Roosevelt dimes that passed through the hands of Americans in the mid-20th century, used for bus rides, payphones, coffee, or tucked into coin jars across the country. But hidden beneath that everyday appearance lies a story of history, rarity, and surprising value. Some of these coins, due to their errors and unique circumstances of production, have become highly sought after by collectors, with auction prices climbing to astonishing levels, ranging anywhere between $56,000 and $138,000 depending on the variety and condition. For a coin with a face value of just 10 cents, that kind of value feels almost surreal, yet it is very real, and it makes the 1966 Roosevelt dime one of the most fascinating coins to ever emerge from modern U.S. minting. To truly understand why the 1966 dime holds such intrigue, you need to step back into the economic and political climate of the 1960s. Just a year before, in 1965, the United States Mint had made one of its most significant changes in coinage history. The rising cost of silver made it impossible for the mint to keep producing coins in the traditional 90% silver format. People had already begun hoarding silver coins, fearing their melt value would exceed their face value. To counter this, the government removed silver from dimes and quarters starting in 1965, replacing it with a copper-nickel-clad composition. This was a monumental shift, and the transition period created conditions ripe for errors and unusual pieces to slip through the minting process. The 1966 dime falls right into this critical moment in U.S. coinage history. The Roosevelt dime itself had been introduced in 1946, following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, as a tribute to his leadership and his efforts in supporting the March of Dimes, which was founded to combat polio. Designed by John R. Sinek, the dime bore Roosevelt's profile on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. By the mid-1960s, this design was already iconic, but the change in composition and the unusual minting policies of the time turned ordinary Roosevelt dimes into rare treasures. One unique aspect of the 1966 dime is that it was struck during a period when the U.S. Mint had suspended the use of mint marks. From 1965 to 1967, no coins bore mint marks as part of the mint's strategy to discourage coin hoarding. This means that all dimes from 1966 look the same at first glance. No Denver D, no San Francisco S, no Philadelphia P. To collectors, this uniformity might seem dull, but in reality, it added to the mystery. Without mint marks, it becomes harder to track mint-specific errors, and that makes the surviving error coins from this era even more fascinating and valuable. Minting errors are where the story of the 1966 dime really shines. Error coins are the heart of numismatic excitement because they transform an otherwise ordinary coin into something extraordinary. Among the 1966 Roosevelt dimes, errors like off-center strikes, double strikes, misaligned dies, and planchet errors have been documented. Some of the most coveted varieties include dimes that were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets. These are extremely rare, and when authenticated, they can command prices well into the tens of thousands. It is these unusual survivors of the chaotic transition from silver to clad coinage that explain why certain 1966 dimes have sold for prices between $56,000 and $138,000 at auction. Consider the thrill of discovering one of these coins today. You might think of the dime as pocket change, but picture pulling one out of an old jar or inherited collection and realizing that it has striking features that don't match the standard design. Perhaps the lettering is doubled, or the coin is slightly misaligned, or maybe the weight itself is off, suggesting a different planchet composition. That single dime, overlooked for decades, could suddenly be revealed as a rare error piece worth tens of thousands of dollars. That is the kind of story that captivates collectors and keeps them searching through even the most mundane rolls of coins. Auction history has proven time and again just how highly prized these coins can be. Collectors compete fiercely for the best preserved examples, and grading becomes crucial. Coins that are worn or circulated may still carry some value, but the highest prices are reserved for coins in mint state grades. A 1966 dime graded MS 66 or higher, especially one with an error like an off-metal strike, can quickly push into the $56,000 to $138,000 range. These sales demonstrate the enduring allure of error coins, especially those from transitional periods like the mid-1960s. What makes the 1966 dime even more engaging is that it embodies a story larger than itself. It's not just about the coin. It's about a nation adapting to economic realities, about collectors recognizing the significance of a change in materials, and about how small mistakes in the minting process can create legacies of value. Each rare dime from this year is a tangible piece of history, carrying with it the uncertainty of the times and the ingenuity of the mint as it navigated one of the greatest changes in American coinage. For everyday people, this coin represents possibility. Millions of 1966 dimes were produced, and while most are worth only face value today, the rare error varieties still hide among collections and forgotten stashes of change. Every coin collector knows the dream of finding such a piece, the moment when a common coin suddenly transforms into a life-changing discovery. That's the magic of the 1966 dime, and why it remains one of the most talked-about coins from the modern era. The fascination also comes from the fact that errors weren't just occasional flukes in the 1960s, they were a byproduct of rushed production and experimentation with new materials. That context makes the discovery of each error dime feel like uncovering a relic of a turbulent moment in history. It isn't just about rarity, it's about holding a small artifact that tells the story of an America trying to balance tradition, practicality, and changed as with all valuable coins. The details matter. Collectors who know what to look for weight differences, striking anomalies, doubling, or off-center designs, stand the best chance of recognizing a true gem when they see it. Even coins without dramatic visible errors can surprise, as sometimes the differences are subtle and require careful study or expert grading to be revealed. That's why professional grading services play such an important role in verifying and valuing these coins, giving collectors confidence when bidding on pieces that can command tens of thousands of dollars. So, the next time you come across a dime from 1966, don't dismiss it as just another piece of pocket change. Take a closer look. Study its details, check its weight, and examine its strike. You might discover that you're holding one of the most valuable error coins of the 20th century, a coin that has the potential to sell for anywhere between $56,000 and $138,000. That's not just a dime. It's a piece of history, a treasure born out of a moment of transition, and a reminder that even the smallest coins can carry the greatest stories. In the vast ocean of American coinage, certain pieces emerge not because they are old beyond measure, but because something about them sets them apart. The 1977 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins. To most people, it looks like any other 10-cent piece they've held in their hands thousands of times before. It's light, small, silvery, and in most cases, just a convenient way to pay for gum, coffee, or anything that needed a bit of change. But among the billions struck in 1977, there are rare survivors and minting mistakes that have transformed an ordinary dime into a collector's dream, with some examples selling for prices that reach between $52,000 and an astonishing $122,000. Think about it for a second: pocket change that's worth as much as a car, even a down payment on a house. This is the magic of coin collecting, where history, rarity, and error converge to take something most of us overlook and turn it into a treasure. The 1977 dime carries all the hallmarks of the Roosevelt series. On the obverse, you'll see the familiar bust of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, designed by John R. Sinek. His profile faces left, with liberty to the left edge, the national motto "In God We Trust" tucked under his chin, and the date 1977 to the right. If the dime was struck in Denver, you'll find a small D mint mark just above the date. If it's from Philadelphia, there's no mint mark at all, as the Philadelphia Mint didn't add one to dimes until later. On the reverse is the powerful and symbolic design: a torch in the center representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, with the words "United States of America" and "1 dime" encircling it. Billions of these coins were minted in 1977, so the vast majority will never be worth more than their face value. But the exceptions, the coins struck in pristine condition, the ones with dramatic minting errors, and the rare varieties are what collectors dream of. These are the coins that inspire stories, fuel auctions, and leave people amazed at how a simple dime could ever reach values in the range of $52,000 to $122,000. One of the main reasons certain 1977 dimes are so valuable is their condition. Collectors and grading services like PCGS and NGC assign grades to coins based on their preservation. Most 1977 dimes saw heavy circulation, ending up scratched, worn, and dulled from years of use. But those rare examples that avoided the wear of circulation and instead were preserved in nearly flawless condition can command huge premiums. A 1977 dime graded MS-68 or higher, with blazing luster and razor-sharp detail, can sell for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, as collectors battle over the finest known examples. That competition can send prices soaring, and it's those very top-tier coins that push into the six-figure territory. But it's not just about condition. Errors are what make some 1977 dimes truly extraordinary. The U.S. Mint is an impressive machine, producing millions of coins every day. But like all machines, sometimes mistakes happen. And when they do, the result can be a coin that's unique and incredibly valuable. Off-center strikes are among the most popular errors. When a blank planchet isn't properly aligned in the coining press, the design is struck off to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. A 1977 dime struck 70% off-center with a full date visible could easily bring thousands at auction. Then there are double die varieties. These occur when the die used to strike the coin has been impressed with a double design, causing certain details, like the date, lettering, or motto, to appear doubled on the coin itself. These errors are highly sought after by collectors, and a dramatic double die 1977 dime could be worth tens of thousands depending on condition. Imagine finding one of those in a roll of dimes, something that looks slightly odd to the casual observer but is actually worth a fortune. Wrong planchet errors are even more jaw-dropping. Imagine a dime struck on a copper cent planchet, or perhaps on a smaller foreign coin blank. These bizarre anomalies occur when the wrong metal blank slips into the press, and they produce coins that are instantly eye-catching. They're rare, and collectors go wild for them. A 1977 dime struck on a cent planchet or a foreign coin could fetch tens of thousands, even pushing toward that top figure of $122,000. Broad strikes and die breaks add even more variety. A broad strike happens when the collar that normally holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, allowing the metal to spread out wider than normal. This creates a distorted dime that is still instantly recognizable but unique. Die breaks and cuds, raised areas of extra metal caused by cracks or chips in the die, also draw collector interest. Though less dramatic than an off-center strike or wrong planchet, they are still unusual enough to raise value far above face. What makes the 1977 dime so captivating is that its extraordinary value is hidden in plain sight. People handle these coins every day without realizing that the dime in their pocket could be worth more than $52,000. That thrill of possibility keeps collectors searching, flipping through pocket change, coin rolls, and old collections. Auction stories highlight just how shocking these discoveries can be. A near-perfect 1977 dime in pristine condition once fetched thousands, stunning onlookers who couldn't believe a common coin could be so rare in such quality. Stories like these fuel the excitement of the hunt, proving that these treasures are out there and waiting to be discovered. The market for coins like the 1977 dime is driven by rarity and demand. Collectors want the best, the rarest, the most unique. When two or more determined bidders want the same coin, prices climb rapidly. This competitive atmosphere is why certain coins skyrocket from a dime's face value to $52,000, $75,000, even as high as $122,000. But beyond money, there's something deeply human about the pursuit. Collecting coins like the 1977 dime connects people to history. Each coin is a tiny piece of art, a reflection of the time and place it was made. Holding a dime from 1977 connects you to that year in American history, an era of cultural change, political shifts, and everyday life. For collectors, it's not just about owning something rare. It's about holding history in their hands, and that's what makes the story of the 1977 dime so engaging. It reminds us that the ordinary can be extraordinary, that treasures can hide in plain sight, and that sometimes the smallest, most overlooked objects can carry the greatest value. The next time you come across a dime from 1977, pause for a moment. Look at the details. Is it perfectly struck, gleaming as though it were made yesterday? Is the design slightly off-center, doubled, or unusual in any way? Because while most 1977 dimes are worth 10 cents, the rarest and most spectacular examples are worth life-changing sums, anywhere from $52,000 to $122,000. It's a story that captures the imagination, excites the collector's heart, and proves that even in the smallest of coins, there can be the greatest of treasures. The 1977 dime is more than money. It's a reminder that sometimes fortune hides in the palm of your hand. In 1980, the United States Mint produced millions of Roosevelt dimes, coins that were passed through countless hands, tucked into piggy banks, and spent without a second thought. To most people, a dime from 1980 is just 10 cents, small, ordinary, and unremarkable. But to coin collectors, numismatists, and treasure hunters, the 1980 dime has proven to be anything but ordinary. Hidden among the countless examples are rare error coins and flawless high-grade specimens that have sold for shocking amounts at auction. In fact, depending on condition and rarity, some 1980 Roosevelt dimes have commanded prices ranging anywhere from $48,000 to an astonishing $118,000. That's a life-changing amount of money for something you might find hiding in an old coin jar or tucked into the folds of a wallet that hasn't been used in years. The Roosevelt dime has been an enduring part of U.S. coinage since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt for his leadership and his role in founding the March of Dimes, an organization dedicated to fighting polio. The 1980 issue carries all the familiar features collectors recognize. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, and the reverse with a torch flanked by an olive branch and oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. But what makes the 1980 dime special isn't its design, which remained consistent with earlier years, but the quirks and anomalies of the minting process that year. The Philadelphia Mint, for the first time in decades, added a P mint mark to dimes in 1980. Before that, Philadelphia-produced dimes carried no mint mark at all. This seemingly minor change marked a turning point in U.S. coinage history and gave the 1980 dime immediate collector interest. It also opened the door for minting errors, and it is these errors, along with pristine condition, that have elevated certain examples into the 5- and even 6-figure range. One of the most sought-after errors in 1980 dimes is the double die variety. With these coins, parts of the design appear doubled due to a misalignment in the die during production. A doubled Liberty, In God We Trust, or even details in Roosevelt's eye and profile can create a striking visual difference. Collectors love double dies because they are dramatic, rare, and easy to spot when compared to minor varieties. A sharp double die 1980 dime in excellent condition can command jaw-dropping prices. Off-center strikes from this year are also incredibly popular. Imagine holding a dime where Roosevelt's head is shifted dramatically to one side, with part of the coin left blank. These off-center errors are visually stunning and instantly recognizable, making them favorites at auctions. Depending on the degree of misalignment, off-center 1980 dimes have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with the highest graded and most dramatic examples pushing toward that top range of $118,000. Wrong planchet errors from 1980 are even rarer and more valuable. Occasionally, a dime was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a cent or even a foreign coin. The result is a coin that looks unlike anything else in circulation. Smaller or larger than usual, thinner, or even a different color. Collectors treat these as once-in-a-lifetime finds, and their values reflect just how unique they are. When a 1980 dime struck on the wrong planchet shows up in pristine condition, it creates a bidding frenzy, pushing prices toward record-breaking levels. Condition is another critical factor. The vast majority of 1980 dimes entered circulation and quickly picked up scratches, wear, and discoloration. These coins are worth only face value. But for the few that were saved directly from rolls, mint sets, or proof sets, the story is very different. Coins graded at MS-68 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC are exceedingly rare, and collectors chasing perfection are willing to pay a premium. Some near-perfect examples have reached into the tens of thousands, and when paired with a dramatic error, they are the ones that climb into that incredible range of $48,000 to $118,000. Auction houses have provided some of the most thrilling stories connected to this coin. There have been instances where a simple 1980 dime, unassuming to the naked eye, stunned bidders and set records. Collectors competed fiercely, driving the price higher and higher until it closed at numbers few would have believed possible for a modern dime. For those who study these coins, it's a reminder that lightning can strike anywhere, even in the form of a 10-cent piece minted just over 40 years ago. What makes the 1980 dime even more fascinating is its accessibility. This isn't a coin from centuries ago or one struck in extremely limited numbers. The mint produced millions of them, and many are still floating around in circulation today. That means the possibility of finding one remains real. Collectors, hobbyists, and even casual treasure hunters know that the thrill of discovery could happen anytime they sort through a handful of coins. The potential of turning a dime into a fortune is what fuels the ongoing excitement. For many collectors, the 1980 dime represents more than just value. It represents a connection to history. The introduction of the P mint mark in Philadelphia was a symbolic shift, marking the start of a new era. The coin also continues to celebrate Roosevelt's legacy and the values of liberty, peace, and strength. Holding a rare or error example is like holding a piece of American history, where chance, craftsmanship, and flaw combine to create something extraordinary. There is also a lesson in patience and attention to detail here. Most people overlook their pocket change, dismissing dimes as insignificant. But those who take the time to look closely, to examine the date, the mint mark, and the details of the design, may be rewarded with something of immense value. It's the small details, the doubling of a letter, the misalignment of a strike, the sharpness of the luster, that transform a coin from ordinary to priceless. The emotional impact of discovering such a coin is powerful. Imagine the surprise of pulling a 1980 dime from circulation and realizing it could be worth not just a few dollars, but tens of thousands. That story is one collectors love to tell, and it's part of what keeps the numismatic world alive with energy and anticipation. Professional grading and authentication are critical in this market. Without certification, it's difficult to prove a coin's condition or authenticity, and values remain low. But when a grading service confirms a 1980 dime as MS69 or identifies a dramatic double die or off-metal error, its status instantly changes. Suddenly, the coin is not just a curiosity. It's a centerpiece, the kind of find that collectors dream of. For those just beginning their numismatic journey, the 1980 dime is a perfect example of why collecting coins can be so rewarding. It shows that you don't need centuries-old coins to find value. Modern coins, even ones as recent as the 1980s, can carry extraordinary worth if they feature the right combination of rarity, error, and condition. So the next time you come across a dime dated 1980, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Look carefully at the lettering, the mint mark, the strike. If you notice something unusual, or if the coin looks untouched and flawless, you may be holding one of those extraordinary rarities. And who knows? That small piece of change could be worth anywhere between $48,000 and $118,000. It's a story that captures the imagination, blending history, chance, and value. A coin minted in vast numbers, once overlooked, can now command life-changing sums. The 1980 dime is proof that treasures are still out there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. Most people never stop to think about the coins that pass through their hands every single day. A dime is a dime, right? It's worth 10 cents, hardly enough to buy anything in today's world. People toss them into jars, slip them into parking meters, or let them rattle around in the bottoms of their purses and glove compartments. But what if I told you that one of those dimes, a 2012 United States dime that looks almost identical to every other one you've ever spent, could actually be worth a staggering amount of money? Anywhere between $33,000 and $92,000. It sounds unbelievable, but it's absolutely true. That's the hidden magic of numismatics, where the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary, and where a coin you overlook could secretly be a fortune waiting to be discovered. The 2012 dime is part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series, which has been in circulation since 1946. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, was honored on the dime following his death in 1945. His image remains one of the most familiar on American coinage, with his dignified profile facing left, liberty prominently to the left side, "In God We Trust" tucked beneath his chin, and the date 2012 on the right, accompanied by the mint mark. Flip the coin over, and you'll find the classic reverse design. A torch in the center representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace on the left and an oak branch for strength and independence on the right. Encircling these images are the words United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. At first glance, the 2012 dime doesn't look particularly rare. Billions were minted that year across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, and the overwhelming majority of them are worth exactly 10 cents. But for collectors, rarity lies not in the common coin but in the unusual outliers. Mint errors, pristine condition, and unique anomalies are what transform an everyday dime into something worth tens of thousands of dollars. Consider for a moment how coins are made. The U.S. Mint produces coins at incredible speed, striking billions each year, and in that process mistakes can and do happen. These mistakes, called mint errors, are never supposed to leave the mint, but every now and then they do, and when they slip into circulation, they become highly desirable to collectors. The 2012 dime is no exception. Certain error varieties from this year have already been identified and have driven collectors into a frenzy when they surface. Off-center strikes, where the design is dramatically misaligned because the blank was not seated properly, are a prime example. Depending on how far off the strike is, a 2012 dime with this error could sell for hundreds, even thousands. If the date is still fully visible, the coin's desirability increases significantly, pushing values higher. Double die errors are another category that drives up demand. This happens when the die used to strike the coin carries a doubled image, which then transfers onto the coin. On a 2012 dime, you might see doubling in the inscriptions in Liberty, or even in Roosevelt's facial features. These coins can be subtle, but to collectors, they are a gold mine. A dramatic double die 2012 dime in high-grade condition could easily climb into the five-figure range. Wrong planchet errors are among the most fascinating and valuable of all. These occur when a coin is struck on a blank meant for another denomination. Imagine a 2012 dime struck on a penny planchet, or even more unusual, on a foreign coin blank. These errors can be identified by weight differences or by the fact that the design looks incomplete because the planchet was smaller or larger than intended. Wrong planchet dimes are among the most coveted coins, and when a 2012 dime shows up with this kind of error, auction prices soar. Some examples have fetched amounts well into the $30,000 to $50,000 range, and in perfect condition with the right anomaly, values can climb even higher, into that remarkable $92,000 territory. But errors aren't the only factor. Condition plays a critical role in a coin's value. Numismatists use the Sheldon grading scale, which runs from 1 to 70, to measure the quality of a coin. A dime pulled from circulation will usually grade somewhere in the lower range, maybe in the 10 to 30 range depending on where. But a coin that has been preserved in pristine condition since the day it was minted, showing no signs of handling, no scratches, and full luster, can grade as high as MS68, MS69, or even the perfect MS70. For modern coins like the 2012 dime, anything approaching MS69 or MS70 is incredibly rare, because most coins were spent and circulated. That rarity drives up demand, and collectors are willing to pay extraordinary amounts for the very finest known examples. It's not uncommon for a 2012 dime in a top grade to command thousands at auction, and when demand is fierce and bidders compete for a single flawless specimen, prices can skyrocket past $30,000, $40,000, or even approach that jaw-dropping $92,000 level. There are real stories of these coins changing hands for life-altering sums. In auctions, when a coin like a high-grade 2012 dime with a dramatic error appears, bidding wars erupt. Collectors recognize how rare these opportunities are, and they're willing to spend far beyond the coin's face value to secure it. Imagine the scene. An auction room filled with serious collectors, the tension building as bids climb higher and higher, until finally, A dime that costs 10 cents to make hammers down for tens of thousands of dollars. The crowd buzzes, the buyer beams with pride, and the story of that coin enters the lore of modern numismatics. Even smaller errors can turn a 2012 dime into a valuable treasure. Broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads out abnormally, are eye-catching and desirable. Die cracks, where small lines form from breaks in the die, add unique character to a coin. Even lamination errors, where the coin's surface peels slightly, can attract collectors looking for something out of the ordinary. These might not fetch the six-figure sums, but they can still command hundreds or thousands, turning pocket change into unexpected profit. What makes the 2012 dime particularly fascinating is how recent it is. Many people assume only old coins can be valuable, but that isn't true. Modern coins, especially those with unique conditions or errors, can be just as valuable as historic pieces. The 2012 dime proves that you don't need a century-old coin to find something extraordinary. In fact, it's possible that one could be sitting unnoticed in a collection of loose change at this very moment. The allure of the 2012 dime goes beyond its monetary value. It represents the thrill of discovery. For everyday people, the idea that something as small and ordinary as a dime could be worth $33,000 to $92,000 is exciting, even intoxicating. It's what drives people to check their change, to search through coin rolls from banks, and to keep an eye on coins that others dismiss. That hope, that possibility, keeps the hobby alive and fuels the passion of collectors and treasure hunters alike. For seasoned collectors, the 2012 dime is a symbol of how unpredictable the hobby can be. You never know when a coin from the most ordinary year, minted in the billions, will surprise you with rarity and value. For new collectors, it serves as a reminder to look closely, to pay attention to the details, and to never underestimate the coins that pass through your hands. So the next time you get a dime in your change, take a moment to really look at it. If it's dated 2012, don't dismiss it. Check for errors, examine its condition, and look closely at the details. Because while most of them are worth only 10 cents, some are worth more than anyone could ever expect. Imagine the feeling of finding one, realizing that the small coin you've held onto without a second thought is suddenly worth $33,000, $50,000, or even up to $92,000. That's not just a dime. It's a hidden treasure, a piece of modern American history, and proof that extraordinary value can be found in the most ordinary of places.